welcome back to Balance or Hustle Live, where we grow, create, and enjoy success together. I am your host, Miss Ashley ESQ, and today we will be discussing dreams and motherhood with our special guest, Jessica Haygood. Jessica is a mother of two beautiful children. She is an employee in the banking industry. She's an author. She's a podcast host, and so much more. Please join me in welcoming our special guest, Jessica.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Well, thanks for joining us today, Jessica, and I'm so happy to have you here. So let's go ahead and dive in. I gave you an introduction, but I know that there's still so many other great things that you do and have done that I did not mention. So we'll definitely elaborate in that during this conversation as well. But let's. One of the things that stuck out is Jessica is an author of a book called Dreams and Motherhood, and so just to be correct, this is a guide. So it's more
Yes.
of a guide. Guide is a manual. So it's like a self-help book that focuses on dreams and motherhood. So Jessica, tell us a little bit more about yourself and then about your project Dreams and Motherhood.
Yeah. So, like you said, I'm a mother. I have two small kids. And what inspired me to write the book was basically, me and a couple of moms, we were sitting around and just talking about all our dreams and aspirations. And we were kind of like saying, well, now that we're moms, we can kind of like forget about those dreams, right? So that kind of motivated me to want to kind of change the narrative. So that's the reason why I wrote the book, because it was kind of like motivating me, and I wanted to motivate other moms and show them that they could do it.
Okay, that's excellent. That is an excellent reason to do so, and I love how you went against the narrative or the mindset that says, "Hey, you're a mom. It's your life no longer matters. Um, forget everything you've ever dreamt of
Right.
accomplishing or doing. Just work hard and provide a good life for your kids. I mean, you want that too, but um, you know, definitely, it sounds like I love that you went against that because I think that's a lot of the things that's a lot of what some people feel and what we
Hmm.
feel is correct. So I think that's excellent. So yeah, so let's go ahead and jump right in. So I don't want you to don't give away the book, but
Right.
but but let's go ahead and just let's talk about it.
Okay.
Let's talk about it, and we'll go from there. So just give us just give us a little bit, give us a little taste of what we can look
Okay.
forward to in this book. So the first chapter talks about changing your mindset.
Yes.
Okay.
So, of course, like I said, being a mom, there's already this narrative where you can't do anything else other than be a mom when you have kids, right?
Right.
So, first, you have to change your mindset. You have to have the I can mentality, right? And I
Right.
will, you have to kind of change your mindset before you try to do anything. So, I think that's the first thing that you have to do. So, that's why I kind of talked about that, because that's the first step. You have to believe in yourself. You have to have you know, you just have to be motivated, and you have to change the way that you think about it, the way that you look at the situation.
Right, right. So I think that that's definitely a healthy and a necessary step. One thing that we had talked about previously, Jessica, you're originally from Alabama.
Yes.
That's so
I am.
one thing that you mentioned that definitely stood out to me because while I am from California, I'm from the South by way of my grandparents on both sides as well. So one of the things that stood out to me when you mentioned how changing your mindset also meant combating traditional roles that may be very still prevalent in somewhere
Mhm.
like the South.
That is true, because you're just barefoot and pregnant, right? You're just the housewife. I mean, that's how they look at it when you're from the South, right? So that's just like another thing. You just have to break that barrier, and you have to be able to get in there. Whatever it is that you want to do in life, you just have to go after it. And you just
Right.
have to change the narrative. And you have to change your way of thinking about it.
Right, right. So I think a healthy thing is to realize first that motherhood is not a dead end. It's
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 not.
not, it's a beautiful blessing and it's not a dead end. And realize that not only taking it, not only mentally understanding that, but in your heart,
Exactly.
Knowing, right? Because I think that's it. Once the heart aligns with the mind and the mind aligns with the heart, like it's just a forceful engine,
Hmm.
to kind of keep us going. And I think once you realize that it's not necessarily about traditional roles or what you can't do, you start understanding what needs to happen in order for you to maintain your dreams as well. So changing your mindset. Would you agree with that?
Yes, I would. And also just, sitting with yourself and just changing the way that you think. So the way that you change your mindset for those people that say, well, how do you do that? You just kind of have to sit. What I actually did was I had a journal, and every negative thought that I had, I changed it to a positive thought. Like any obstacle, I figured out a way to come up with a solution. So instead of
Mhm.
having an excuse, then you want to have a solution for every excuse that you have. So just changing your perspective on how you view the situation.
Okay. Let me ask you this.
Uh huh.
Recently, has there been in any instances where you had a negative mindset that's like, oh, I can't, I'm a mom, I can't. And you had to
Yes.
like check yourself, like realign myself. Wait a minute, I miss dreams and motherhood. It's possible. So, do you have any examples of that? Even recent examples,
Yes, because when you think about time, because being a mom, it can consume so much of your time, being a mom, because there's so many things that you have to do to be a mom, right? There's so many things that your kids may have going on. I mean, you have to get them ready for school, you have to do homework, and you have to kind of figure out time. And sometimes, you get so caught up in doing everything for your kids, time just slips by. So just kind of like not even like I kind of lost it at some like recently where I just got sucked into motherhood, and then not being a mom, and I talked to you, and you kind of like told me, hey, we met for coffee, or we
okay,
talked
yeah,
about it, and you kind of like told me, hey, you can do this. I mean, I think you pretty much, helped me get back into that mode, if I'm being honest.
well, that's a lovely,
And
that's
I
a
think it's
wonderful,
so great to have a community of people that could
right,
actually do that, because you can easily get off track and go back into
right.
your old way of thinking. So
Well, I think that is a lovely statement that you just made about me. So thank you so much, and I'm happy,
thank you.
happy to be that person because that's what it's about uplifting one another. And I have always saw you as a person that has managed motherhood with career on top of all the other amazing things that you've done and that you're
Hmm.
doing. And I think it's beautiful. Like one thing I'll say, you guys, about Jessica, one thing to know about Jessica, if you follow Jessica on social media, Jessica, she maintains her job. She has all these other things that she has interest in, including an author, including participating in social groups,
Hmm.
and then also her podcast. But at the same time, with all this, Jessica's on the beach with her kids in San Diego. Now they're in Vegas this weekend, and now they're in Disneyland. So it's
Yes.
not like motherhood and we're just staying home and just keeping it super simple because it's challenging, which there's seasons like that too, but I love it because you're very active and
Hmm.
your children, I love the things that she posts when she posts about like, they're at home doing arts and crafts for the holidays or
Oh yeah.
for Valentine's Day. So they're very active and she's maintaining and holding all this down while pursuing her dreams as well. So they're having a very eventful, full life. And so is she, which is the goal for us, right? Because
Yes.
a lot of us, we still have dreams and there's still things that we want to pursue, and we have a desire to give our kids a great life as
Exactly.
well. And I think you've been an excellent example of that. So I kind of think you kind of led into our next chapter, which talks about creating a peaceful environment. And so I think that that's super important as well, which talks about community. What do you have to
Hmm.
say about that? I know you kind of touched on it a little bit.
Yes, building your community. Some people, you have to find that community of people that's going to be supportive. Like I talked about you, and you putting me back in motion. You know what I mean? Just identifying what you need and go and just looking for different resources that would help you get there, right? So for me, I
Right.
joined Mocha Moms. Like I said, I served on the
Yeah.
board a couple of years ago, and that's just a community of moms
You were the
professional.
president at one point.
Yes, I was the president. Now
Okay.
currently I'm just the social media director, but that's another job. Like that was another like task for me to balance that, my job, president of this organization, and still give my kids quality time and the time that they need. So I think just having that community support of moms helped me out a lot. So
Right. Yeah. And one thing I want to add, I just thank God for the timeliness of like, hey, Jessica, I know you have this book and I know this is what you talk about. Would you be a guest on the show? So I just thank
mhm,
God for the timeliness and that it reignited a fire in you as well.
yes, thank
But another thing I wanted to say is how important is community. What I heard you say is that you identified what your needs were. You
you. Yes,
identify like, hey, I'm a mom and I want to be around other moms who are also moving, and you identified an organization called Mocha Moms that's
yes.
like exactly what you needed. It's a group of professional moms, and they all maintain careers or outgoing, but then they want their kids to be active as well.
Yes. And actually, my cousin told me about it. She was currently the president at the time.
Oh, okay.
And she, so I was writing my book and she's like, you should join Mocha Moms. And I'm like, Mocha Moms, I never heard of it. And then I
Right,
looked into it. I'm like, wow, this is like a community of people that I need to surround myself with, like
right,
professional moms. Most of our kids were around the same age. And it was just very beneficial and helpful to join. And I'm still a member. Like I said, I'm a member and I serve on the board. So,
right. So I think one thing that's important when identifying a community, and I think I know we talked about it before, but I'm assuming what you got is a community. You identified your needs. You needed a community of professional women, and I know one of the things that you do is with other moms to kind of find the balance that you need is like you might set up a play date and you guys are having
yeah.
your girl time or your mom time, but then the kids are playing, so they're having fun too. So
So with the Mocha Moms organization, every month we have a mom's night out.
mhm,
That's just part of like the self-care where you just don't have the kids, right? And then we have a kids play date where we bring the kids and we just allow the kids to play with each other. So each
right,
month we have to do that. And that helps because as moms, you need to make sure that you're happy and that you're getting the self-care and everything
right,
because in order for you to be an effective and you know be a
right,
great mom, you have to be happy and you have to find that balance.
right. And I know that that's just one of the things that you do, like in building your community, right? I know sometimes we like, hey, what you doing? We want to go out, want to go get brunch, and so we might pick a new brunch spot, right, and
Yes.
go get together and go try a new brunch spot together. So that's one of the things that I know that we do.
Yes.
But also, I think is super important because community, as it relates to community, you have your significant other, and
Hmm.
He has been a part of your. I mean, probably like the pillar of your supportive community, I would
Yes.
say.
Yes.
Right,
So, he helps out a lot. So, for me to write the book, like
right,
he would take the kids and I would write or just whatever I need to do, he's there to help out with the kids. So he has definitely been a big help, I would say.
right, absolutely, right. Because even while we're doing this, right, while we're get together, he's managing and holding down the household, which is beautiful, which I think is great. And I think that that definitely stood out, to have that person community. And I know he's been a big part in creating your peaceful environment that
Yes.
has allowed you to kind of like manage life outside of motherhood and outside of having the kids with you, because there's times too it's like, hey, I need to get away. Like you said, I think you said you locked yourself in a room to write your book, and that was daddy's time with the kids, and that became your time where you was like writing your book, which is truly
Yes. Because I had to kind of figure out because before, having kids, I indulged in a lot of like Netflix series. I watched a lot of, because it was just me, right? I mean, and then I figured now that I
mhm,
have kids and I want to start, doing things that I aspire to do, I said, well, let me buckle down and just kind of see where I'm wasting time. So instead of me watching those Netflix series, I just kind of like go in a room and write. And I was writing when I was writing the book. And that would just be like my time to kind of like, manage my time, just using, you just stop wasting so much of that time, like that meaning doing meaningless things,
Okay.
So
So I want to go back because I think you're leading into my next question, but I want to go back. I want to, so you basically said identifying for creating a peaceful environment.
hmm
Like I said, just to touch on it, you're going to identify your vulnerabilities. Like, what does it feel like what does it feel like? What does it feel like you need, to
right.
create your peaceful environment? And then to get, and then identifying that, right. And then, um, your vulnerability, and for you, you felt like you needed a supportive community of other moms who had children that were still also ambitious, and so you found that through your organization.
hmm
But also, identifying that, what would be the next step?
Just looking for resources, like
Finding
first,
resources.
like once you've identified, where you're vulnerable at, and you find different organizations online that may suit the need that you're wherever you're whatever you're lacking, and just try to look for different resources that could help you, you know.
Right, right. Finding resources. So peaceful environment. So it also may mean too, though, um, finding your cheerleaders. Like I know we
Yeah.
talked about this before too, which is, we're talking about surrounding yourself by people that are supportive of you, but then also like a level of accountability for, finding your cheerleaders, right? Like just finding
Mhm.
people that's going to support you, your peaceful environment, possibly removing people that may be on you about what you should be doing or what you're doing incorrect. And then
Mhm.
some of it, I don't want to just say that everyone has negative things to say because sometimes people say things and we need to hear, we might not be
Yes.
ready to hear it. So I just want to be clear on that too. But definitely finding your peaceful environment, finding your level of vulnerability, doing your research, finding maybe test going out to do some meetups or finding other moms or
Mhm.
connecting with other moms from school or just even like we do connect with friends that, I think we were really hitting it hard during the pandemic because we were getting out and going to brunch right when
Yeah.
it's like, okay, we're emerging back into society. Let's go to brunch. But just finding people around you that's supportive, and then that you enjoy, and also
Mhm.
understand your commitment and how you have to split your time. I think is super important.
Yes. And just getting rid of negative vibes, negative people, negativity, the naysayers. You don't want to surround yourself because that can disrupt your peace, right? If you have a bunch of negativity around you. So just, building an environment of positivity and ambitious people, I would say.
That says, oh, you can't do this, or
Yes,
no, you
yes, because
can't. Right. I think another thing that I want to add, and I know we had talked about, and it probably even goes into changing your mindset as it relates to a lot of the times people give up on their dreams and they build their kid build their children up to live their dreams, right? Like, oh, I
yes.
wanted to be a professional basketball player. I want to be a singer or an actor. So then you push your kids, like you
hmm
fall back, right, and stop pursuing your dreams, and then you just raise your kid to be everything that you want it to be. What do you have to say about
Exactly. Yes, that is so true. And that's part of the reason, that inspired me because I'm like, I don't want to live like through my kids, right?
that?
And I
Right.
don't, and then when you're telling your kids, hey, you need to, go after your dreams, do whatever it is that you aspire to do in life. And then you, on the other hand, you're not doing it. So you need to be that example to your kids and you don't want to live through them. So it's so important that you do whatever it is that you want in life so that you can, show your kids that it can be done and you can kind of motivate them to do it because they can actually see that you're doing it. So that is a good point that you made. Yes.
Yeah, and just what you said, I think you're dropping gems over there. So we definitely have to take our time and pick them up. I love how you said, how do you want your kids to see you, which is so
hmm
important, right?
hmm
Because sometimes people get it confused, like, oh, well, don't do as I do, do as I say. But
yes.
times it's a lot about what you see and how
Exactly.
you see things, and that becomes your reality, whether parents may like that or not. So it's equally important to not just voice something on what you want your kids to do, but
hmm
actually show them how it
Exactly.
can be done and lead by example. which I think is excellent. I think that's a really good tip.
Yep, and that's in the book. I talk about that too. So it's so important that you do that. You be the example, because, like you said, there's a big difference in saying it and actually doing it. So yes.
Right. And I think, we've all had parents, and I think it's the example that really makes the difference in someone's life. The example, not just necessarily telling someone the right thing to do, but showing them what
Hmm.
you expect out of them. And I think growing up under that, I think that changes that changes a lot for
It does.
in our
It does.
mindset, in our development, and
Hmm.
even for children, and how we see how children may see things.
Yeah.
Um, and because I can look at my mom, I think her being an example and all the things that she's done has had a huge impact on the woman that I've become today. And I know I don't have children, but I definitely want to make sure I'm leading by example. And I think you're actually doing that really well, Jessica.
Thank you.
Leading
Thank
by
you.
example. I
Yes.
think you're super involved in so many amazing causes, in developing your own, in developing yourself in all of the ways that you desire to do so, and then maintaining household and motherhood and having fun during the process. So
Hmm.
I think that you're doing great, and I think that's how we push forward in within our generations. So
Yes.
definitely a good point. So moving on to the next chapter, which is balance your time.
Hmm.
I mean, you kind of touched the surface on this, but I'll go ahead and let you elaborate.
So obviously, that I work a 9 to 5. Was part of an organization on the board. Juggling all these different tasks, you have to make sure that you're balancing your time. So the first thing I would say is just prioritizing, like just kind of figure out what's important to you, and just maybe making that to-do list, and
Hmm.
then prioritizing that, and that helps you manage the things that's most important. You know what I mean? And like I kind of talked about earlier, where I said you know, identify where you're wasting time, where things are meaningless, right? You don't want to indulge so much time or give so much time to something that doesn't mean anything. I really learned that when I had kids, because you have to give them so much of your time. You really
Right,
have to see what's important, and, make the best of it. You know what I mean? So
right,
just identifying the areas, doing that to do list, prioritizing, and you can do that like through Google. I think there's an app that you can just kind of like put different things on it and just prioritize different things, and just eliminating just things that you're not,
right,
meaningless to, you know,
right,
basically.
right. So I think that that's excellent, and I think we don't realize how much time we waste.
We
I
don't.
think you said you used to sit down and watch Netflix series, like that was
Yes.
that's what you did on your days off or when you weren't at work, and how much time we waste. Sometimes we don't realize um, how, and maybe we don't realize it because we don't have something that we feel is a higher priority in our lives. But
Mhm.
once you have kids, all that changes. Like, okay,
Exactly.
I gotta take my kids to school. They got doctor's appointments. I don't have time to sit down and watch Netflix series every day after 5. And
Right.
so I think it's important to find a balance because sometimes you do need to check out, but
Mhm.
definitely understanding your priorities and realizing how you're going to allocate your time is super super important. Because even as someone who doesn't have kids,
Mhm.
I have to do that,
Right.
and I probably still waste time, even though every Sunday I sit down and try to time block on things
Mhm.
that I need to do and how I'm going to manage my week just to get the most out of it, there's probably some windows that I probably still waste time. Maybe I finish early, or and I just really need to check out, which I think is equally important because
Yes.
not just go 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 go.
Mhm.
Maybe you just want to surf the internet or check out and do something that for some people appear to be a waste of time, but for you it's like a mental health, right? You,
Right. That's true. That is so true. So just what's important to you, just you want to spend much time when you have to balance so many things, you just have to look and see what's most important. Not saying that you can't watch Netflix, but if you really have something that you want to accomplish, then you have to say, hey, you know, do I need
right,
really need to do this? You know what I mean? So just what's important to you.
right, right. And then what do you think about multitasking?
Well, I think that I have to do it. You know what I mean? I think
Right,
it's important, and I just think that you just have to. It goes all the way back to prioritizing and just doing things. Like for me, I multitask. Like for me, working from home, I'm
hmm
able to get a lot of things done around the house, like the laundry.
right,
I can start preparing what I'm going to cook for the day. All while my kids are at school. So like when they're home, it's not like I'm just starting over because I've already been able to prepare for that. So just being like able to do that, or just finding those, the time that you're sitting in idle or you're not doing anything, just think about, oh, I could be
right,
doing this. I mean, so yeah, I think multitask. I mean, I do it a lot. So
right. I think there's a big debate about multitasking versus just focusing on one task at a time. And honestly, I get what they're saying. Like you're just gonna zoom in on one topic and execute that very well.
hmm
I think in some cases that's definitely necessary, and I think that it works very well. I agree with you. I'm a girl that enjoys multitasking. Not even enjoy it; just makes sense for my life to
right.
multitask and different things. And so, I think whenever I see a moment where I can actually like do hold down two, kill two birds in one stone, I try to take advantage of it as much as possible because it's just like, man, I just created more time for myself. Or,
Exactly.
like I just got done five things and like what I could have only got done in one thing. But I love how, like you're multitasking in a sense, like you're working and maybe managing laundry or like during your breaks or however you're multitasking
hmm
in those things and prepping for dinner at the same time. But I love all that, and I think things really work well when you can find and identify segments in your life where you can kill two birds in one stone.
Exactly. It
Like,
makes life so much easier and better.
right, right, it does. Where you can be like, okay, well, I'm doing this. Like, definitely, I think I'm actually like sometimes while I'm getting a pedicure, I might take that time and reply to some emails
Yeah.
or reply to some social media comments or some DMs or just something
hmm
like that. I may take that idle time and use it. And then there's sometimes where I don't feel like doing nothing. I just want to look at a magazine and enjoy the magazine.
And that's
You know,
okay.
right? And it's finding that balance is, I think, what has been game changer for me, and also still very healthy um, in doing that. But definitely, what do you definitely multitasking is definitely something that works well for me. Um,
I have to because
Absolutely.
when you have, yeah, I have to. I mean, because when you have, so unless, I mean, you don't really have to, but for me, it just makes things flow better for me, and it allows me to have more time with my kids, because when you're doing everything while they're home, it's like you're kind of taken away from them. So just being able to get a lot of those things done during breaks or while I'm working from home, you know what I mean? It helps me be able to be more available to them, as opposed to just like doing everything. Even though I still have to do things when they're home, but I feel like knocking those things out just frees me up with being
Right,
a mom, and obviously they need my time. So
right. No, I think that's excellent. Let me ask you this: do you have a crock pot?
I do. I do. And that helps too. That saves time. And then, I mean, that can be food for the rest of the week, but not that long. My kids are picky eaters, but that is,
Right.
yeah. And
They
then I haven't done it yet, but a lot of like we always throw out different ideas of what can make life better. Like I think we had a conversation when we were out with the Mocha moms, and some of the tips that they gave were just like hiring help, sometimes like getting like a cleaning person to come in, because sometimes if we spend so much time doing those things, it takes away from what we can, the important things. So just hiring help, like getting a cleaning crew to come in to clean up your house, things like that can actually help save time too.
You know what? And I'm all for that. I'm actually for that. I think delegation is a self care mechanism. You know what I mean? That's like part of
Yes.
self care. I think sometimes it's identifying the help that you need,
Mhm.
realizing that you need help, and then taking the initiative to hire the help. But I
Exactly.
think for me, I think I'm a delegate. I'm at a place where I wouldn't delegate for years because I couldn't.
Mhm. You
I
could
didn't
do it
realize I
yourself, right?
did it before. Yeah, I didn't know how to ask for help or how to implement help or where to get help. Um, but I think that's a game changing idea that to delegate and ask for help and hire help.
Mhm.
And so I definitely agree. I mean, because household chores are equally, as important as a lot of the other things that we do. And if we can afford it, it's really nice to have someone to kind of help manage that. Like that's another thing that feels like we created time for ourselves and actually
Mhm.
more time for our families, right? To help create a
Exactly.
healthy work-life balance for us. So that's actually a really good tip. I mean, this might be taking it another step, but also doing some type of um, meal prep or some type of
Mhm.
takeout. I know that there's some chefs that like will deliver your meals, or
Mhm.
you can go pick it up. They've made this homemade meal. That's just something else.
Yes, that is a great tip because I mean, I
Um,
haven't done the
Definitely.
yeah, I haven't done
So moving right along. So I definitely think those are great tips. Hiring help. I think that's a gem right there. I hope you guys are picking that up. That Jessica just dropped. Saying no.
yes, so important to say no.
What would you say about saying no, Jessica? Do you
I
feel
would
like
say go ahead.
I think some people are in a movement like, no, can you do this? Can you be here? No, and so
Yes.
that's their how they balance their time is that they just prioritize things and things that don't align with whatever they're trying to accomplish within that week, within that day, or within a particular time frame. They just say no. What do you think about that?
I think that is great. I had to learn to say no, because before, I was saying yes, yes, yes to everything. And that could make things, that could make your
Mhm.
your life a little bit harder when you agree to do certain things. So you definitely get acquainted with saying no because, you know, time is of the essence. So you have to be okay with saying no for sure.
Right, right. I think that saying no is very I think saying no is also very important as well. And identifying what you say no to. And sometimes
Mhm.
it's not no, no, it's just maybe not right now. Right. So maybe you have to
Right.
prioritize things or not just shutting things down with no. Maybe it's just not right now and maybe at a different date or at a different time or something like
Hmm.
that. But definitely understanding how to prioritize. I'll tell you a little story about me. I recently had at my schedule to identify. I recently had to look at my schedule to identify what was a healthy way to prioritize my time. And if I didn't, it would have had me in like four different states over like a
Oh,
72-hour period, which sounds exciting, but at the same time, I would have been like wore out. Like I could have pulled it off,
exhausted.
but I would have been wore out. And so
Mhm.
yeah, so it's important to understand like okay, let me say no and make the things that I absolutely have to do more powerful and impactful.
Mhm.
And then, maybe prioritize some of those other things at a different date. So for me, it wasn't no, it was just let's move it to a different date that makes sense so that I'm also
Mhm.
balancing my health, my sleep, my mental health, my physical health, and then making sure that I'm achieving the balance for the things that I prioritize in my life.
Yes. So
Um,
yeah, that's definitely important.
okay. Okay, so moving right along. So the final chapter talks about sharing your dreams.
Yes. So
Okay,
yeah.
so give us a snippet.
So with that, I feel like you should share whatever it is that you want to do. Like for me, just I wanted to write a book. So sharing that with somebody that you trust, I think is important because you can look at that person as an accountability partner, right? Because they're
Right.
going to hold you accountable for things if you tell them that, hey, I'm going to write this book, and then kind of slip or whatever, they can kind of get you back on track and kind of say, hey, you remember you said you were going to do this? So I think it's important to share it with people that you actually trust, you know, and
Trust. Okay. No, that's the key point. People that you actually trust. Yeah, because everyone's not going to advocate for your dream, or for some people it doesn't mean anything
mhm,
to finding and identifying those people in your peaceful community.
mhm.
That's gonna help advocate, and you guys can keep each other accountable for whatever your goals are and sharing your dreams. No, I think that's really good. Um, let me
And then
see.
I also wanted to add that, and how do you do that? Well, sometimes you can also get a mentor. A lot of people, they don't know that there's like mentors out there that's willing to help, for whatever it is that they desire, or like if they have a goal or something that they want to do, maybe they want to start a business. There are people out there that's willing to help. It may not be free, but just getting that help, actually, you're sharing your idea and they're showing you maybe the pathway. This is the path that I took. Maybe you should take this path. So I think that's important too. So when you share your dreams with maybe a mentor or someone, something like that, they can offer you resources that can help you get there.
Right. I think that's an excellent tip. Um, I have um, I have taken on some mentoring and coaching, and I've benefited greatly from it. So I
Mm-hmm.
I definitely am a believer in it. And actually, part of our services at Balancer Hustle is offering coaching as well. So if you fill out
That's great.
the link, yeah, if you fill out the survey at the bottom of the caption, you'll get a free 30-minute consultation to find out what some of your goals are, and will be the first step to getting some coaching and mentoring to helping you achieving those goals. Um,
See, that's a great
so I
resource.
definitely think Yeah, I definitely think that that's excellent, though. Getting some mentoring and some coaching. Like I said, I didn't do it. I didn't do it for years, and maybe I
Mm-hmm.
got it. I got it maybe from school, which is a
Mm-hmm.
lot like a coaching situation, or I got it from just maybe supportive people around me. But actually, getting a coach that I met with on a regular basis was game changer, life changing for
Mm-hmm.
me and my goals and my aspirations. So I love that you dropped that, because I think that's very valuable and important gem. Um, Let me ask you. So, do you feel like your job and the time that you spend within your job and your industry, do you feel like it's very supportive to you being a mother?
Yes, they are. I mean, I'm thankful for my job because, they allow me different time. Like if I have, like for example, I was off for like 4 months when I had my babies.
Hmm.
They're older now, but they are very flexible. So I'm thankful
Right,
to be able to have a job that actually cares about, you know, being a mom. So I can say my job was very, you know, they were very helpful to me. I mean,
right. No, I think that's excellent, because I know, that's part of the things. And while you're evaluating jobs and evaluating um, industries and evaluating companies, it's like, okay, what does the package outside of the job description look like?
exactly.
How friendly are you going to be to me, um, maintaining a healthier work life balance in my life, whether I have children, or a family, or whatever it is I have going on. So that's part of the evaluation is, you
Hmm.
know, are you guys a family, work life
Oriented.
balance? Yeah, an organization that's going to be supportive if I have to call in for a week after I came in from vacation because now my kid has COVID, or whatever it might be. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So super important. I think that's part of the evaluation process. I love to know that your company is supportive.
Hmm. Very
And
supportive.
okay, so I want to ask you this. So as a mother, right?
Hmm.
When do you think is the best time to have children? If there's a best or better time, or let's say the right time to have children, or let's say this, the perfect time to have children.
I don't I don't know if there's the perfect time, to be honest. I don't think there is the perfect time to have kids, to be honest with you. Um, but I think whenever you are ready, because you have to have patience. You have to be in a mental state to be able to, you know that you're going to be a mom and all the things that come with it. Because motherhood is not easy. You know what I mean? You
Right.
have to be flexible, you know, and patience, because your patience will be tested. So I think whenever you're ready, or you think that you're mentally ready to have your kids, if you have your finances together, but I don't know that there is a perfect time. Like, some people, they plan, I'm going to get pregnant by this time, and they plan it, but it's up to you. Like, you know what I mean? I don't know. I didn't plan to have my kids, honestly, but I don't think that
Right.
there's, you know,
So I heard you. I guess you're saying that there is no perfect time. And I think that that's a great point that you made, because I've asked my mom, like, hey, when's the perfect time to have children? She said, there's no perfect time.
it's
Really,
not.
she said, if I was always waiting on a perfect time,
You would never.
none of you guys would have been born, because there's no
Right.
perfect time. You could always make more money. You could always have more time available. You could
Mhm.
always, have more space, or there's always something that you can do to make it even more perfect. But there's just
Exactly.
things that, of course, you want to be strategic about if you
Mhm.
can. But there's really no perfect time to have a child. And so
Mhm.
it's a time that's right for you, that makes sense in your situation.
Right.
Um, so yeah, that's what my mom told me. So Jessica, where can our audience find you?
Well, they can go to my website, which is
I want to
www.dreamsandmotherhood.
say, Jessica, so where can our audience find you if we want to keep up?
Yes,
They want
they
to
can.
connect with Jessica.
Yeah, so they can go to my website, which is dreamsandmotherhood.com, and
Oh,
I have blogs on my website, where, like, inspirational blogs, and that's where you can order the book if you want to order a copy. It's right on
okay.
the website.
Okay, so that's perfect. Dreamsandmotherhood.com. We will put that in our caption, where you can connect with Jessica there. So I think that is wonderful. Thank you so much for being a guest, and I definitely thoroughly enjoy having this conversation with you. To everyone out there, thank you for joining us here at Balance or Hustle Live. Never miss an episode by joining our mailing list, which will be the link in the bio, and also subscribing to our YouTube channel, where you'll receive notifications. And then also, again, if you're interested in coaching, go ahead and fill out the survey. It's one of our team members, after you fill out the survey, will touch base with you, where you have an opportunity to get a free 30-minute coaching session to see if it's a good fit for you. And then we're going to do that for the first 5 people. So if you're interested, go ahead and fill out the survey and the link. And then until next time, be encouraged, and also remember to create and enjoy success.
Thank you.